my name is Emma Fuller, and today I will be doing my Picture an Ecologist video. I will be discussing Emma Lucy Braun, and we will be covering her early life, her area of research, and her contributions to her field. Emma Lucy Braun was born April 19th, 1889 in Cincinnati, and she lived there for almost her entire life. And she also went to the University of Cincinnati and got her first bachelor degrees in 1910, and then she got her master's in geology in 1912, and then a PhD in botany in 1914. And then throughout a couple decades, she started her journey into gaining her professorship. From 1910 to 1913, she was an assistant in botany, and then in 1914 and 1917, she was assistant in geology. And then after that, she worked as an assistant professor and then associate professor, and then she finally received her full professorship in 1946. Throughout this entire period, she was also doing her own research and traveling across the entire country in order to research plants and soil and other areas of interest to her. And then after she retired in 1948, she died in 1971 on March 5th. She did have most of her research in plant ecology and botany. However, she did also study a good chunk of geology, and she also did have some minor studies in entomology as well. So her greatest achievements to her field of study was her 4 books and 180 published articles. And her most notable book was the Deciduous Forests of Eastern North America, which was released in 1950. And it had a whole range of topics from vegetation science to research in floristics and vascular plants and forest communities, and it was mostly centered in the regions of southern Ohio. And then she also published a study in the 1920s and 30s with a new method for cataloging and comparing flora from over 100 species that had already been discovered over 100 years prior, which lended a lot of credibility to evolution and adaptation and migration and how some plants can change over time. She also discovered 4 new plant species, and they eventually got named after her. The Agritea luciae braunae, Erigeon pulicellus variation brunae, Silphium terebithicaeum variety luciae barnae, and Viola X brunare, and then 1 lichen, Rhinodina braunania. And then she was also elected as the first female president of the Ecological Society of America, and she also founded the Cincinnati chapter of the Wildlife Preservation Society. And she was a very large contributor to botany and plant ecology as we know it today, and she was one of the biggest players in ecology in the first half of the 20th century. And that is my presentation.